Imagine a world without science, without textbooks, without any explanation for the chaos around you. The ground shakes, the sky roars, and fire falls from the clouds. What would you do? Where would you turn for answers? This was the reality for our earliest ancestors. Thunder wasn't just a sound, it was a voice. Lightning wasn't just electricity, it was a spear thrown by an unseen hand. Welcome to the dawn of humanity, a time when survival wasn't just about finding food or shelter. It was about making sense of a world that was both terrifying and magnificent. Today, we journey back to the Stone Age to witness a pivotal moment in our history, the birth of myth, when fear first transformed into faith. Scene transitions to show early humans observing natural phenomena, a sunrise, a waterfall, a forest fire. Everything started with observation. For Stone Age people, the world was a theater of powerful, unseen forces. A sudden storm could flood their camp, wiping out their food stores. A lightning strike could ignite a forest, forcing them to flee. A mysterious illness could take a loved one without warning. These events were unpredictable, uncontrollable, and utterly terrifying. They had no concept of meteorology, physics, or microbiology. All they knew was that something immensely powerful was at play, something that held the power of life and death in its hands. This overwhelming sense of vulnerability, this constant fear of the unknown, planted the first seed of a question that would change humanity forever. Why? Why did the rain fall? Why did the sun rise? Why did people die? Scene shows a creative montage. A human touches a warm stone after the sun has set. Another sees a face in the clouds. Another mimics the sound of a wolf. To answer these questions, our ancestors used the most powerful tool they had, their imagination. This is where experimentation began, but not in a lab. Their experiments were stories. They started connecting the dots, weaving narratives to explain the inexplicable. Perhaps the rumbling thunder was the sound of a great beast stomping across the sky. Maybe the life-giving rain was a gift, poured down by a benevolent spirit who lived in the clouds. What if the sun was a fiery chariot, dragged across the heavens each day by a powerful god? These weren't just whimsical fairy tales. They were the first scientific theories. They were hypotheses born from a deep-seated need to impose order on chaos. The spirit of the hunt, the goddess of the harvest, the god of fire. These were the characters in humanity's first great epic, a story written to explain the very fabric of existence. Each tribe, in each corner of the world, began to develop its own unique cast of divine characters. Scene shows different tribes with slightly different drawings or symbols on cave walls, perhaps depicting different versions of a sun god or a storm spirit. But this explosion of creativity led to a new problem: confusion. One clan might believe the rain came from a gentle sky mother who wept for the world. A neighboring clan might believe it was the work of a wrathful storm god who demanded tribute. When these groups met, their stories clashed. Whose god was the real one? Whose explanation was correct? This period of conflicting narratives was crucial. It forced communities to refine, debate, and organize their beliefs. It was a kind of spiritual peer review. Some stories were discarded, deemed less plausible or less useful. Others were combined, merging the traits of several spirits into one, more complex deity. This process wasn't about finding the right answer in a scientific sense. It was about finding the story that best served the community, the one that offered the most comfort, the most hope, and the clearest guide for how to live. Scene shows a larger, more organized tribal gathering. A central figure, perhaps an elder, is telling a story around a large fire. The others listen intently. there's a sense of unity and shared purpose. And this led to mastery. As stories were refined and standardized, they became more than just explanations. They became the foundation of culture. Shared myths united disparate clans into larger tribes. Believing in the same gods, the same creation story, and the same afterlife forged an unbreakable bond. These weren't just religious systems. They were the world's first large-scale social networks. Myths provided a common identity, a shared set of rules, and a collective purpose. They dictated rituals for hunting, for planting, and for honoring the dead. They created a moral framework, distinguishing right from wrong. If the great Skyfather demanded honesty, then being honest wasn't just a good idea, it was a sacred duty. This shared faith allowed for unprecedented cooperation, enabling tribes to work together, defend against common threats, and build societies more complex than anything the world had ever seen. The myth wasn't just in their minds, it was in their actions, their art, and the very structure of their lives. The narrator is now shown on screen, speaking directly to the camera with a thoughtful expression. The background might show a collection of ancient artifacts or a digital rendering of a prehistoric landscape. So, what does this journey tell us? It reveals a profound truth about the human spirit. Faith, in its earliest form, was not born from a position of power or arrogance. It wasn't about declaring absolute knowledge. It was born from the exact opposite. It was born from a place of deep humility, from admitting we don't know. It grew from the darkness of fear and the flicker of hope. It was a creative, courageous response to a terrifying world. Our ancestors looked into the abyss of the unknown, and instead of despairing, they filled it with stories, with meaning, and with purpose. They transformed their fear into a force that could unite them, guide them, and ultimately help them survive. Faith wasn't a denial of reality. It was a tool for shaping it. The screen shows a teaser image, a shadowy figure in a mask and animal skins, holding a staff representing a shaman. But a belief system needs more than just a story. It needs a storyteller, a guardian, a guide between the world of humans and the world of spirits. Who were these first spiritual leaders? How did they claim their authority? Join us next time as we explore the rise of the first shamans and priests, the masters of ritual who turned belief into practice and laid the groundwork for organized religion. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this exploration fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next discovery. We love hearing your thoughts, so leave a comment below with your own ideas about the dawn of belief. Until next time, stay curious.